designs that are really leaving their mark in a unique way on our city. And for those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, we've talked a lot about entrepreneurship, what leadership in a creative field looks like, and then lots of tips and tricks that they've brought us for increasing your well-being at home when we're spending so much time there. I really love that we have Lauren Brand on the line too, who was kicked off our series with her sister Ashley and Brand Design, talking about your interiors. And now Paige is going to bring it full circle, marrying our art curation that we've discussed, talking about some of the things you can do with that landscaping you've improved, and then bringing it all together in a great celebration of this series at the end. Paige is an incredible artist based here in New Orleans. Her work spans the entire country, including almost 200 original works on permanent display at the University Medical Center of New Orleans. She also, in a full-time position, works for a firm that curates art for our medical facilities here. So really living, breathing proof that art is directly related to our health and well-being. So she's going to talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about her work, and then she's going to show us how to infuse that all that beauty into our own spaces. So thank you again for everybody that have logged in, and especially thank you, Paige, for all the preparation you put into your talk today. So without further ado, I'll kick it over to you to take it away.
Thank you for the lovely intro. I appreciate that, Caroline. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really honored that you guys asked me to be a part of this. I've been enjoying every week watching the new person talk about it, something you could do to change up the monotony and everything that's happening during these bizarre times, such as Lauren, who's chimed in today with her design at home office, to landscaping, creating your own garden, all of that. So it's kind of now following me at the finale, I've somehow kind of taken a bit of each one of those and have this culmination of something we can all do from home with found objects and design aspects and gardening aspects and all of this to come together. But just to introduce who I am, my name is Paige Goss. I am born and bred in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to school at SMU in Dallas, Texas, where I got my BFA in art and art history. So my goal after college, without fail, was to move to New York City to become a fashion diva, fashion styling, anything fashion related. That was the tunnel vision dream. So I moved off to New York City, lived there for 5 years, had the most fun time of my life, absolutely, doing everything from styling to fashion PR, and then eventually ending up in a longer career of event planning. So all the while it was fun, it was something was missing, and the missing link to me was creating. And I knew that living in that environment in New York City, it was just a little bit more difficult to start as an up and coming, spanking new artist to the scene. So I felt, with much kicking and screaming at first, just, am I moving back home? Like, is this what I want to do? But sure enough, many other factors as to why I did move home. But I moved to New Orleans and was like, okay, I'm going to pursue this wild, crazy dream of being an artist full time. So I moved back to New Orleans. I'm literally squatting at my brother's house, all the while painting at my parents' house in Baton Rouge, and just kind of like slinging this artwork, hustling to various charities and donating, trying to get my name out there. And sure enough, one of the, in particular, the organization that I donated to, JCC, the Jewish Community Center here in New Orleans, I donated a piece, and lo and behold, there was this design firm who was curating all the artwork for University Medical Center there, attending and seeing my work, asked whomever was in charge of the auction and was like, who's this artist? I haven't heard her name. And so they found out my information, come and knocking on my door. At this point, I got my own home, came knocking on my door. I invite them in, I show them work. They're telling me they're filling a hospital with 4,000 pieces of artwork, and they're trying to keep it all local and original. And they're like, what else do you have going on? At this point, I'm like, not a whole lot. So it was perfect for me. So they're like, well, why don't you come on the team and be our in-house artist? So here I am working with, I believe it was 7 designers at the time, curating this huge 2.4 million square foot hospital with artwork. And I have one designer who's like, Paige, I need a purple abstract painting. I was like, you got it. I have another designer who's like, I need a painting of a pelican. I was like, you got it. I mean, I was dishing out whatever I could to get my pieces in there. And it eventually turned into me being asked to do 110 patient room pieces. And so here I am, like, knowing that these pieces are going specifically in ICU. And that was a lot of weight on me to be like, oh my gosh, like, what do I paint? Like, a lot of pressure. What's going to make someone, a patient happy, a family happy, some escape, some kind of reprieve. So that was an unbelievably cathartic for me to paint that. And you wouldn't believe my apartment, which is also doubles as my studio. There was not an inch of floor to walk on. It was just canvases streamed out, artwork splattered all about. And yeah, eventually got to those 110 pieces. And really, I think that's hot on topic with healthcare. So anyway, with that said, I was an artist for this design firm and then eventually graduated to becoming a curator myself. So I've been curating with them for the last 4 or 5 years. It's hard to remember how long I've been here. I guess I've now been here 6 years. So I've been with them for 5 years. So yeah, so as I'm doing this art curation job, I'm also living this like dual life of being a full-time artist. So as a full-time artist, I was hustling. I was creating all these different series. I was trying to have art shows anywhere I could, pop-up events, you name it. And one of which was in Dallas, Texas, which I already knew I had a friend base and contacts there. I decided to go wild and crazy, go there, find this bizarre venue that's, I'm talking like kind of like a shanty town. It's like there was gravel for the floor. There was like open air, horrible lighting, all this. But lo and behold, I kind of made this artscape for it, where I brought in lights, cowhide rugs. I brought in everything New Orleans. So that was the whole theme, was the Big Easy comes to the Big D. And so I had a jazz trio, I had oyster shuckers, I had Sazeracs being served. So it was all this experience. I bring New Orleans with me no matter where I go. And that was such a hook. I ended up having 200 people attend this like pop-up event at this weirdo off the beaten path venue. And so from that, Paper City did this huge like article on me. And then I eventually got represented by a gallery on Dragon Street in Dallas, in the arts district. So that was pretty cool. From there, I've been working with many real estate developers, in particular one in St. Petersburg, not Russia, in Florida. And there I curated their entire lobby and common areas with that, I believe that firm was called Allen Morris Co. I've worked with Domain Co. here in New Orleans, worked with many interior designers. I think one of my other really big gigs was in New York City. So I worked with a development firm called Naftali Group, and they had this unbelievable space in Gramercy Park. So I walked in there at this point with a hard hat on, absolutely like existing walls to non-existing walls, rubble, like crazy dust everywhere. And they're like, what is your vision? And so it was so cool to take my curation background as well as my own just aesthetics and I guess knowledge of knowing what looks good in various spaces. And I was able to assess exactly what size piece would work where, series here, or gallery wall here. So I ended up doing 30 plus pieces for that space. So I got to see it from like the very beginning stages to overseeing the installation. And so that was remarkable. And that is still on display at that building in Gramercy. But yeah, so it's been really wonderful. And I really credit New Orleans for all of this. I could not have had this artist career that I have now if it was not for New Orleans. And I think that's kind of where I want to segue into leadership here. I think as an artist, as an individual who's pursuing a wild, crazy dream, that's kind of not the norm. And it's definitely bold and scary. And you go out there and you just you wear your hat, you be just proud as you can be and not care what other people think, because that's what you have to do. You have to hustle to get out there. And of all places, New Orleans is going to be so receptive of it. New Orleans is the weirdest place ever. Can we all agree? It's so strange. Where else can you live where you were constantly in costume? Let's say like for half the year you're in costume and it's normal. So this was the perfect platform for me to start any kind of artist creative career. And I think that's why all of these others that we've seen over the past few weeks and many others around us that are young professionals who have really just hit the ground running and have taken off with it because of the environment we have been given. And I often say, you know, New Orleans embraced me, but I embraced it. I embrace it back. So I feel that is, you know, as young leaders, I would advise you just to get out there and meet as many people as you can, because that's what hustling is about. It's just getting out there, being bold, putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, but it's always gonna be good. You're never gonna regret it. Like, for example, for some reason, I thought of a parallel of like working out. You never regret going to a workout class. So it's like, you never regret going out and like just saying hi to that random person, talking to maitre d' at a dinner spot, or I don't know, just kind of striking conversations with strangers, and you never know what could come from that. And I have so many of those examples of like times I've just picked up a random conversation at a bar, and then it snowballed into me like then doing pieces for their home and then doing a mural for their friend's home and all this. So so it's been a cool journey. And I know I've mentioned that I've been doing all this work, and typically with real estate developers and interior designers, but I also do a lot of commission-based pieces just for personal clients, and they're all over, you know, and it's always really fun to see who, and you know, social media obviously helps through this, getting your name out there, but to see what kind of like people react to your work. Like I've had people in London ask for work, or I've had like a friend of a friend in New York who heard of my work that wants it for her cousin. And just today I got asked for a wedding gift for a niece. And so it's just all these different things of just spreading the word. And that all comes from just, again, like I said, putting yourself out there. And so, yeah, so I love New Orleans so much. And all the while, as I've been painting and doing commission pieces and, you know, doing these rotating shows all over, I have been busy as can be working for Plaid, which is the design firm I mentioned in the very beginning. And with the design firm, we have been given, so we had University Medical Center, which we filled with over 4,000 pieces of, again, original and local work. Then we had VA Hospital, which was different. It wasn't as much originals, it was more prints, but the work itself, like the aesthetic of the space is beautiful. So I was very proud of that project. And then my latest, my baby that I'm so proud of, and we're so excited to be a part of, is Children's Hospital. And so I've been with my team curating the artwork for Children's Hospital, and we'll be doing that over the next year or so as it continues to build, and new buildings are coming on the campus. So here's just some examples of pieces we've done. And again, it's kind of as if I was brought here like this bumpy, crazy path of just trusting the process of where life is going to take you. I luckily found this design firm that put me now in a position to put it all full circle. So I'm able to now give back and purchase artwork from these up and coming local artists too. So it's like, it's seeing myself in a mirror. It's just like, here I am back again, but I'm able to purchase this work from many artists that I totally love and huge fans of. And you'll just see through these slides some of the examples. Like, I don't know if you see there in the right corner, it's kind of a faraway shot, but if you look up close, it's photographs that have been woven together. So I just think that's so unique, and to have that story, and then you have this like funky little popsicle. If you see a popsicle, that's what I saw. But many people can see piano keys, you can see whatever you want, and it's just its own interpretation. This is a brilliant little cloud series we did, but yeah, so it's been so great. In fact, I'm coming from an installation exactly an hour ago. So I was on an installation all morning where we installed about 50 pieces, and again, original local work. It was so cool and just looks amazing. It feels like you're walking into a gallery or a museum, and it's happy. And when I talk to these artists about these commissions and telling them it's for children, they're elated, and it just creates this whole kind of vigor for them to create, and keep the children and the healthcare workers in mind. And I think that's particularly, important right now in our climate, to give some kind of happiness or distraction for those workers and patients. So needless to say, that's my backstory. That's kind of my spiel. But today is talking about something a little silly and fun, but I think it's so apropos for where we are right now. So if anyone knows me, knows that I am obsessed with dining out. I am an avid diner outer. I love knowing the newest restaurant. I love knowing the newest bars. I have to go. I have to meet the hostesses. I have to meet the bartender. I have to meet everybody. I just love immersing myself into the local spots. And I'm so lucky where I'm located. I'm right on Magazine Street, and I could throw a stone and I hit 3 James Beard Award-winning restaurants. And I'm there a little too often. It's probably where most of my money goes, is dining out. But I don't regret it, because to me, there's nothing more exciting than getting dressed up and going to these new dinner spots that have such a beautiful ambiance, and having great conversation with friends, and having this fine dining experience with yummy wines and all the foods and dishware and all of it. So to me, I'm missing that most. One of the most, yeah, I'd say it's top tier, what I'm missing the most during these quarantine times. And so what I'm kind of offering, and I've been integrating it into my life, is creating this restaurant ambiance experience to your home, in your home. So I know we've all been home cooking our butts off. I know a lot of people are baking breads for some reason. I've seen a lot of baking bread on Instagram, but yeah, so people are cooking, trying new recipes, getting adventurous. And then, we're all putting on maybe that COVID-19. I know I'm certainly. And during, this time of just like trying out new dishes, and also being able to order pickup. And I know a lot of the restaurants have started to open up a little bit more for takeout, is supporting your local restaurants, and getting these dishes, like have a fancy night. Cause typically most of us do dine out, once or twice a week, and to put that money there and know that majority of it's going to support this local restaurant, to keep them afloat and keep them alive, because we want them back thriving after whenever this subsides. But yeah, so my encouragement is to create this dining experience at home very easily. It's something different you can do. It's a way to curate a space, a dining space, an island. I don't know about you guys, but I just graduated to becoming an adult like recently, because I just got a dining table. Yeah, I lived in New York where my bed was pretty much my dining table. But anyway, now I'm living in New Orleans, and I just purchased a dining table, and I've just been going crazy with tablescapes. So, I mean, I'll change it up according to whatever holiday there is, whatever theme I want to go with, whatever color palette, whatever it is. I just have such a ball with it. So during these times, I think it's been kind of fun to really get adventurous with it, and have these, I mean, I don't know who you're quarantining with. If you're solo, have this little sexy solo dinner with yourself, or having it with your quarantine cutie, I don't know. But it's nice to look forward to something. I know there's such monotony these days of just like wake up, rinse, repeat, wake up, like, and all the while staying in like PJs or whatever, like loungewear. It's nice to kind of think about, oh my gosh, tonight I'm gonna get excited because I'm gonna cook dinner, I'm gonna pick up a meal. Always nice to bike to pick up your meal. I just did that the other day from Houston, so that was really fun. But to go pick up your meal, cook your meal, and then get dressed up. Get dressed up, why not? Like wear that house dress, wear whatever. I know we haven't been wearing makeup much. In fact, you guys are lucky I'm wearing some today. But yeah, so it's nice to kind of like have that thrill. So looking forward to getting dolled up, having this kind of sweet experience with your partner or yourself or whomever, and setting the tone. So it's setting the tone of anything you want. So again, it could be themed, like we have Mother's Day coming up. So I know a lot of like pastels are good. But I have to say the base of it is what I'm going to tell you is to start from foliage and flowers. And I know we are able to go to grocery stores and, you know, get those flowers, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can pluck some like greenery from your backyard, from your neighbor's backyard. I don't know, whatever you feel comfortable doing. But what I've been doing is I've been plucking some palms from my yard and what other things do I have here? Like feathers and things. And I go crazy with spray paint. So I encourage you to grab a tablecloth. I don't know, a drop cloth. In my case, you'll see me in this image on the left. It's actually a vintage curtain. So if I just threw that out and I splattered Jackson Pollock style paint all over. And I encourage you to use whatever color palette you want or go as crazy with it or as minimal with it as you want. But it's definitely a fun way to add that into your tablescape. So here I've splattered this paint and I'm so lucky because I have Sherwin-Williams right across the street from me. So I don't know what your option is, but those are pretty easy to do, is to call in your order or just bear the, I don't know, the crowds at Home Depot, whatever you feel, again, comfortable doing. But so yeah, so splattering paint about, and then I lay out my palms and my different plants onto another drop cloth and spray paint it on both sides. In my case, I'm obsessed, and you'll see this in my home decor, which I'll show you in a second and throughout these slides, is I love anything black and white. I call it a cabana stripe. I'm hooked on it. But I love a little pop of color in there too. So what I've done is I've spray painted all of these palms and kind of rearranged them or arranged them in flower arrangements, different vases, all kinds of vases. I mean, you can even use a water glass I know everyone has accumulated vases over their many years of receiving flowers, I'm sure. But yes, I like to mix and match. I also think it's really fun whenever you're having this kind of, again, I keep calling it a sexy night, but it should be this sexy kind of dinner night with yourself, is to bust out that china that you're so scared to use. And you make excuses for not bringing it out, but do it. Why not? So bring out the china, mix, match it with whatever other dishware you have, and just kind of put it to use. And so I too like to put my wine in decanters just to feel fancy. I like to do that. So I have decanters that I've acquired over the years and collected. But yeah, so you'll see here an example of the splatter painted tablecloth that I put together, and then the palmettos, and then the other palms behind. I'm not a veggie person, so I can't tell you. I'm not a botanist. Is that what it is? I don't know exactly what types of brands these palms are, but I do know I plucked them and they look great on a tablescape. So yeah, so it's just kind of showing you the different kinds of vases and arrangements you can put together. And here, using the china, like I was saying, like why not take out that china, and you'll see I had the mix match cupware over there, the forks and knives. Okay, so you guys, I maybe went to etiquette school. I was told I did when I was really young, but I don't remember much. I still have to Google how to place set your silverware. So I might even have it wrong on this image. But the point is, there's no judgment in tablescaping. It's free form, it's fun, it's fluid. Just have fun with it is the idea. And so here we have just an example of some of the dishware. And then here's just like a wild and crazy arrangement. So there are some of the palms, the different types of palms that I've spray painted. I took some eucalyptus and I spray painted those, but I did it kind of ombre style, just to kind of switch it up and have fun with it. Those are some peacock feathers I acquired from my late uncle that I love. They're very sentimental to me. And then you'll see the big palmettos, the black and white. Those, funnily enough, do not have stems. I cut the stems, so I literally just placed them in there. So you can wedge them however. No one's judging your stem life or not. And then here, I'm lucky that I work for a design firm. So there's fabric material all over the place, just scraps. So I often will take those, discarded scraps and play with them. So kind of just layering upon layering to get another effect. And then here you have like all of my decanters I was talking about before, some of my decanters and tea candles. Again, I have an obsession with green vintage glassware. So there's that. And then here are some more of the palms, just kind of playing with it. So that tablecloth I splattered all over, you can use it as a runner as well. You can bunch it up, you can fold it around, what have you. And again, you could layer things on top of it. So it could just be the base and then get those fabrics or whatever other kind of tablecloth you love to add a different kind of element and make it a little more eclectic and funky. And then all the while, these palms here, you can chop them. So you can have them at different sizes. So you can have, for example, like I said, the water glass. So you can have a little tiny little palm coming out of it. And then you have this gigantic one neighboring it and just kind of playing with these different heights. It's fun. Here, I particularly love this one. I have tons of books and vintage books I've accumulated over the years, and I find them so aesthetically pleasing, and I use them often for, coffee table displays or what have you. And I thought it would be a fun little thought to bring them out on your tablescape. Why not? Get a little reading while you're eating, who knows? But mainly I know they look good. So having your books arranged a certain way, kind of keeping them, again, asymmetrical, I think is cool. There again with the candlesticks and little, I believe those are, what are those little air plants? So there's air plants that you can find at nurseries, which I know are open right now. And any other kind of knickknacks and tchotchkes that you might have, it's fun to play around with it. Oh, and that plant in the back, I believe I learned it's a mother-in-law's tongue, which I think is kind of funny. So yeah, here again, we have just the tablecloth seen in a different way. And then here's my crazy collection of candlesticks. And I get those on Amazon, which we can all do. Sometimes I have really fun with it, depending on what's happening that time of year. For example, Mardi Gras, I had some glitter, purple, gold, and green candlesticks. And yeah, so I like to get really eclectic with it in that department. And sometimes I get fearful to light them because they look so pretty, but they're so inexpensive and you get bulk of them whenever you order on Amazon. So light the candles. So have that night of eating on the china and lighting the candles and let them burn all the way down to the wick. And it's fun. And I feel like there's even something creative you can do with kind of like mixing these waxes together and creating some kind of little, I don't know, sculpture or something. But here you can see how I've like just mix matched all the different china and dishware. Some are for my grandma, some are, just adult purchases. I'm so proud of my china. Others are Crate and Barrel, whatever, and thrift stores. But it's definitely fun to display it out instead of just using that to-go box, instead of just having it, messily on one dish. It's nice to kind of set it up. Yes, it means more cleaning, but we got the time. So here I have that, and this lovely meal is courtesy of Saffron, which is located conveniently and also it's very troubling that it's right next to me. It's troublesome for sure. But yeah, and then here are some previous tablescapes I've done. And this is again when later down the road when we're allowed to be with friends and large gatherings, God willing. here's an example of a party I put on. It was actually a collaboration with a couple other artists. We had everything from a ceramicist who did all the dishware, which you see is all porcelain. We had a printmaker who took the food remains, the grease stains, like all of it, and used it as a lithograph print. And then we had a chef who prepared like a 5-course meal. And then we had me, the artist and host. So I did these screen printed napkins. So it's my artwork actually on those napkins. And then I spray painted, so I'm a sucker for spray painting. I spray painted all these dried hydrangeas that I had for such a long time. And then to spice it up, I put like feathers in there and different fresh flowers. So it's nice that, you know, you can, and it's nice to work with different heights too. You can see with the different kinds of floral arrangements in there. Oh, that party was amazing. I ended up, we had such a lovely collaboration with all these different artists, and we sold tickets. It was a 20 top dinner table, and we were pretty much sold out aside from 2 tickets. And all of a sudden here I am like making sazeracs for our guests entering my house. And I look up and it's Solange Knowles and her husband. And I literally, my jaw dropped to the floor. But yeah, she found out about it somehow and purchased the last 2 tickets. And so we had her sitting at my dining table in my house, and we're all just kind of giving our spiel about our art backgrounds. And so that was pretty cool. But yeah, just fun story. And then here's another like simple example of that splattered Jackson Pollock style of just on a drop cloth. And you could find that anywhere. You could find that at Sherwin-Williams. You could find that online, whatever it is. It's so easy to come by. So yeah, so it elevates something that's so inexpensive and creates this whole kind of different vibe. And so yeah, so that really, cannot condone more to follow and support your favorite local restaurants and listen to some good tunes all the while. So I have actually provided a playlist, a Spotify playlist. I think I got a little crazy with it. I have about 60 songs on it. But for me, I think it sets the mood for any time I have guests over, or again, for my solo dinners. It really is enjoyable. So yeah, so the whole moral of this is to really just treat yourself and have fun with it. I mean, what else can we do? It's nice to bring on these creative projects and again, to give you something to look forward to and to change the pace of your day. So, so do it, get out there. I'm gonna kind of turn it around. So I'm actually gonna invite you for this last bit, invite you into my house. I have my most recent tablescape. Let's see, so bear with me if the sound gets weird, but I'm just gonna do a quick little show. Oh, firstly, I have these crazy arrangements here that I've been having some fun with. And then, so if you see, sorry, I'm kind of getting a little crazy with it. But if you see here, I have everything from the books again, some more of the succulents, candles mixed in there, some crystals and different stones I've collected at the beach. Go. And then, you know, I was talking about those spray painted palms from before. I've now used them as a charger. So you can see the chargers there. So it's nice and different and fun to kind of change it up. And then I have one more spot to show you. Oh my gosh, the wind just blew it all away. It's now officially raining. But anyway, we have this little area here that is now blown away. So I guess my point with showing you the outdoor space is to encourage you to change up locations in your house, because I know a lot of us can just finish our meals like at our same little dining spot, but why not have your appetizer or your, I'm about to cue the charcuterie board and the nuts. Have all of that somewhere else. Like start your appetizers outside on the balcony, or in your case, I don't know, in your backyard or where have you, your island. And then move to the dining table where you have your actual courses. So it again is creating this elevated dining experience that you can do all from home with found objects and just a little bit of cooking or picking up of food. So yeah, so that's my spiel for today. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Is that it? Do you got me, Karen?
I got you. Thank you so much, Paige. I'm definitely inspired to jazz it up tonight with the dinner table, and also know what to do with all of those leftover feathers and Mardi Gras costume scraps in the box. Like, bust out some sequins. And we'll buy a ticket to your first post-COVID-19 dinner party. That sounds amazing. But yeah, so do we have any questions from our audience today?
I'll kick it off. Paige, you were talking about found objects. Do you want to share some of your like favorite places to find inexpensive, cool pieces for your home?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my main resource would be thrift stores. I love them. I love vintage shopping, have always. And in New Orleans, we have a plethora of them. So I could recommend a ton even after this, but just running to your most local thrift store. In my case, I have one literally downstairs called the No Flea Flea Market. And there you can find weird dishware. And like some will be like Christmas themed or like this and that. And so it's like funny to me. It could be a little bit like cheesy and kitschy, but there's a way to, again, like create that high and low with it. So I think it's fun to just kind of like collect these little things, and you'll find that it'll find a home on your dinner table somewhere. That or be a vase, which I
Paige, are there any, we've seen you gravitating towards black and white and then these pops of colors in everything you've shown today. Are there any other color combinations that you find are really successful when pulling these things together?
I find that I love anything metallic. So typically spray paints, gold, metallic, you have to make sure it's a glossy gold. That's always great. So any kind of glossy in general for spray paints just make everything just look that extra level of like swanky, cool, high end. And I think, and it lasts long too. And if they don't, they're temporary, like throw it out, spray something else. But in my case, I found metallics are a really fun pop of color. And like I was showing that holiday scape with the golds and stuff like that. And then you just throw in some kind of garland or anything Christmas attire or holiday attire. It definitely jazzes up the place. But yes, turquoise is another favorite. I can't shy away from turquoise enough. I love anything with turquoise. I love anything black glitter. Love black glitter. Like I'm such a sucker. And I know many of us living in New Orleans love glitter. Like you can't get away from it. And many people will joke, they enter my house and they leave with a sparkle or two on their face or their hand. And they're like, damn it, we have glitter on us. Like, how does that happen? But I do love glitter, and spray paint cans, like the different brands like Liquitex and what have you, they have spray glitter too. So that's another fun idea to integrate in there.
Awesome. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much. I think this was just a really fun finale to our spring design series, and I can see you put a ton of work in this, so we really appreciate that. We'll be sending out links to Paige's playlist so you can jam tonight, and you can definitely check out her work, more of that. I believe it's paigegoss.com.
Yes, and then follow me on Instagram at Paige Goss Art.
Thanks. Everybody have a great weekend.
You guys have a wonderful weekend.
That was great.